Good afternoon and welcome to the 155th and the first and hopefully only virtual commencement of Lewisburg Area High School. We're pleased that you are here to watch as we celebrate and recognize this important milestone for the members of the class of 2020. Graduates, congratulations on this accomplishment. This is a special moment not only for you, but also your parents, families, teachers, and friends who have supported you along the way. Even though we are not able to physically be able to gather today, please know that your hearts and spirits are with all of us. At this time, I am pleased to recognize the following distinguished individuals. As administration and school board members, they have played an integral role in the success of our graduates. Mr. Christian Rule, Principal of Kelly Elementary School. Mr. Jeremiah Bennett, Principal of Lintown Intermediate School. Mr. George Drozen, Principal of Donald H. Eichhorn Middle School. School board members, Mr. John Rao, Mrs. Lisa Clark, Mrs. Marianne Stanton, Dr. Virginia Zimmerman, Dr. Aaron Jablonski, Mr. Jordan Fetzer, Mr. Corey Heath, and Mrs. Mary Browse. Presenting diplomas and recognizing students on stage are Mr. Jordan Fetzer, School Board President, Dr. Stephen Skalka, Superintendent, Mrs. Kathy Moser, Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Vicki Fennell, Lewisburg High School Counselor, Mrs. Emily O'Connor, Lewisburg High School Counselor, and Mr. Eric Wetzel, Lewisburg Area High School Assistant Principal. I would like to take a moment to recognize the Lewisburg Area High School faculty and staff. You are an exceptional group of individuals committed to the success of our students. Thank you to Mrs. Cree and Mr. Temple, who have served as the advisors for the class of 2020 for the past 4 years. Mr. Temple, thank you for your dedicated service to our students. As a classroom teacher and athletic director, you have had a positive impact on students throughout the years. We wish you well in retirement. In addition, I would also like to thank the faculty and staff at our other 3 schools in the district, for it takes the combined efforts of all to prepare a class for the future. I'd also like to send a special note of appreciation and gratitude to our veterans and those currently serving in our armed forces who may be watching today. Thank you for all the service and sacrifices you have made for our country. At this time, would you please stand as the Lewisburg Area High School Band leads us in our national anthem. The history makers. These are the words that I use to describe you. the class of 2020. I'm sure that there are several high school principals out there this year saying the same thing about their seniors. And while certainly you are graduating during a time that will be one of the defining moments of the 21st century, from the moment you started here at Lewisburg High School, I knew that history makers would be part of my words to you at graduation. I was once asked how I choose what to say each year at commencement, if it's hard to come up with something new each year. It's difficult in the sense that I want the words to be worthy of you, but if I really think about it, I don't choose the words. You do. You write this speech collectively with me during our time together. And while there might be slight elements that stay the same from one year to the next, each class holds its own collective identity. Classes are not differentiated by just the year of their graduation, but by the individual personalities that coalesce to create a common story that weaves each of you throughout its pages. And long before now, the class of 2020 was writing new chapters of Lewisburg's history. In 2007, you started kindergarten at Kelly, a milestone class as we realized that your graduation would be in the year 2020. That year, you became the driving force of Vision 2020, what would become a blueprint for creating what would the future of education in Lewisburg would look like. At the time, the year 2020 seemed so far away, but the years sped by as you went through Kelly, Lintown, and the middle school, and all of a sudden, you are entering high school. From the moment you started your freshman year, the class of 2020 had already cemented its place in Lewisburg area high school history. As the school year began that August of 2016, you walked through the doors of 815 Market Street, excited and a little overwhelmed. You were the last new class those halls would ever hold. The months seemed to go by in a blur, and on the last school day before Thanksgiving break, boxes packed, walls bare, we sang the alma mater for the last time in the old auditorium, and we said goodbye to the school that had served the community so well for so long. After an extended break, you made history again as you became the first freshman to call 545 Newman Road home. It was somewhat like Dorothy landing in Oz. A vast new place was yours to explore, full of color and something new to discover around every bend. You had an appreciation for your new learning environment and maximized the opportunities to take full advantage of everything that the school had to offer. As the first class to be here for all 4 years, you have an ownership here like no class before you. 132 members. 132. One of the smallest classes to go through Lewisburg in recent times. Small, but mighty. 5 members of your class are National Merit semifinalists or finalists. 31 of you either received a certificate in a trade from Sun or completed your first year of college with the ACE program. You have won numerous academic competitions. The number of athletic medals collected since your freshman year are staggering. Your talent on stage and in the art leave us in awe. You started new clubs. You followed your passions. You strove to make yourselves and our school the best that it could be. You did so with kindness and humility. Throughout your years here, collectively and individually, you have had triumphant experiences of success and also your share of obstacles and heartbreaks. But no matter what the challenge, you, the class of 2020, always kept your heads up. You always learned from it. You always looked ahead. And that is the best advice that I can give you, to continue to keep your head up. Keep looking for those opportunities where you can make a positive difference. Keep looking for solutions instead of just identifying the problems. Too many go through life with their heads down, going through the motions, never looking up, never seeing what could be, never seeing the beauty that is. This year, you have shown the greatest strength, grace, and resilience in how you have handled our current situation. You have been an inspiration to all of us. And now, as you go out into the world, continue to hold your head high, for you have always been our history makers, and you are just getting started. Congratulations to the class of 2020. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your principal. At this time, I would like to introduce our first speaker, representing Sun Area Technical Center, Ms. Kirsten Walter.
Congratulations, class of 2020. We did it. It is an honor to stand in front of an amazing class of hardworking students, although graduation this year is a little different. We have all worked very hard to get to this point in our lives. Early mornings, long, hard hours of schoolwork, and endless nights of studying. But here we are, graduation. It is a very exciting moment for us all, and sadly, we couldn't finish it the way that we'd hoped to. We still worked through this hard time as a team, thanking our teachers, faculty, family members, and friends helping us get along. A lot of you may say this is the end, it is over now, but frankly, it is just the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. Some of us will be going to college or joining the military, others may just be getting jobs, but whatever you do in your future from this point on, never forget the memories you've made at Lewisburg Area High School. I am here today representing the students who have chosen to attend Sun Area Technical Institute for their senior year. I would like to recognize that all of the students have worked very, very hard, and I would like to say thank you for making this year memorable. Thank you for working to your fullest. Although we didn't spend every moment together, we are a part of a team. 4 years may seem like forever, but it went by fast. Looking back to freshman year, it seems like it was just yesterday. As we got ready to start our very first day of high school, I am sure there were a lot of mixed emotions at that time. Most of us were either excited, nervous, uncertain, or anxious. Day after day, month after month, and year after year, we made new friends, tried new things, became closer with teachers, and stuck to our everyday routine of going from class to class. Along this time, we've all uncovered our talents and maybe discovered that what we'd like to do in the future. For me, I've known that I wanted to be a nurse since I was a little girl. During my sophomore year, I made the decision to start my career a little early by attending Sun Tech for the health professions program. At first, it was a little nervous because I'd be going to a different school with a bunch of people from other schools. But as I got to know the students in my class, we grew as a family. This program has allowed me to grow as a student, resulting in the opportunity to become a licensed certified nurse aide. Not only did I get the opportunity to learn the CNA curriculum, but I got the chance to get a snippet of what the real-life work experience at Evangelical Community Hospital and Riverwoods Nursing Home would be like. Completing our clinical hours at this facility allowed us to practice the skills that we learned and put our minds to the test. I am personally more of a hands-on learner, so learning these skills and actually getting to perform them was very exciting for me. Attending Sun Tech has motivated me to continue my education in nursing as much as I could. Sun Tech isn't the same as a normal high school. Some of you may not realize it, but in Sun Tech, we are in the same program all day, every day, with the same students. This allows us to grow together and build a bond. Depending on the program that you are there for, you may have a lot of work. For my program, there was an insane amount of work, but it was all worth it. Having tests almost every day wasn't always fun, but the way I was taught things at Sun Tech is simply just preparing me for college in the real world. Clinical was where I definitely worked my hardest. It was kind of scary that during clinical I was being trusted with the lives of others, taking care of their everyday need and making sure that they had the things that they needed. In the end, it was definitely worth the long hours and hard work. Sun Tech has prepared me for college and employment. As each and every one of us go our separate ways, remember not to give up on something just because it gets tough. Keep your head high and work hard for what you want. Don't let anything stop you from chasing your dreams and enjoying this next chapter in your life. I want to thank all of the staff at Lewisburg High School and all of the family members, friends, and anybody who has helped you to get to this point. Thank you for making the last 4 years memorable. Again, congratulations, class of 2020.
Our next speaker is the valedictorian of the class of 2020. Please welcome Ms. Hannah Drexler.
Hello to the class of 2020. Hello and thank you to our teachers, to our families, to our loved ones who helped us reach this point today. This is not the speech I dreamed of giving, and I know this is not the ceremony you dreamed of having. Right now, the world around us is distressing. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our healthcare workers, essential workers, and anyone who has sacrificed or lost in the past 2 months. You would not imagine the number of times I have rewritten this speech. I was so prepared to give you a speech about any number of graduation cliches. The lessons I've learned in high school, the value in making mistakes, the importance of knowing your self-worth. These are all valuable things to talk about, of course, which is why I bring them up briefly. But the truth is, I was determined to give my class a break from COVID, from the mess of the world around us right now, to attempt to shelter us all for however many minutes I can ramble on before you hit the mute button. My reason for this desire was that all I could see in our current situation was negativity. I still feel, unsure about my future next year, scared for my family and for vulnerable people everywhere, anxious for some sense of certainty. In the past 2 months, I have cried a lot, and I certainly can't call this the happiest period of my life. I'm sure many of you can relate. And I didn't want to remember our class with a negative speech, because when I think of the class of 2020, I see us as absolutely everything but negative. We are a family of musicians, of athletes, of dramatists, hard workers, and overachievers. We exemplify strength in numbers, small numbers, and the 132 of us have never met a challenge we couldn't face, whether it be Midnight Maze, AR reading tests, or the gymnastics unit in phys ed. So you and your strength convinced me. I realized that this moment in our lives is not an obstacle that we must find some way around, but a challenge that will give us the opportunity to come out stronger. And the key to overcoming this challenge is hope. There's an old Greek myth that I think articulates this well. In the myth of Sisyphus, Sisyphus is condemned to push a boulder up a tall mountain forever, only to have the rock roll right back down as soon as he gets to the top. I used to feel like Sisyphus, not just in the past year. I've always set high expectations for myself, getting an A on a paper, joining X or Y club, taking that hard class. And that was fine. We should all try to challenge ourselves. My problem was that as soon as I succeeded in something, as soon as I got that A or enrolled in that class, I would move the goalposts, push them another 10 yards away from myself. And I'd find that I was never truly happy with what I had accomplished. I'd watch all my hard work roll down the hill. Now I was determined to get an even higher grade, to become president of the club. And over the past 2 months, I have felt like Sisyphus too. As soon as I began social distancing and focusing on safety, that was no longer enough for me. Now, bags needed to be disinfected, gloves needed to be worn, masks needed to be constantly cleaned. Unlike Sisyphus, no God needed to punish me. I have pushed my own boulder down the hill just so that I can roll it back up again. To my friends, please don't push your rock back down the hill. Recognize that you have done enough, and if you feel inspired to work harder, simply find a taller mountain. But back to Sisyphus and his boulder. See, I had always pitied Sisyphus and his never-ending chore. But then I came upon the work of a famous French philosopher, Albert Camus, and I realized that actually I have been imagining Sisyphus incorrectly. Camus argues that rather than living his life in vain stuck at a terribly boring task, Sisyphus is a hero who refuses to give up. He realizes that his life will be made up of the mundane, and then he makes the choice to keep living and to embrace all the burdens that may come with it. It was easy for Sisyphus to continue to roll his boulder back up the hill when he didn't have to think about it, just as it is easy for a fish to ignore the water all around him, or for us to ignore the constant inconveniences of life. But later in the myth, he is faced with the reality of his situation and its infinite length. Still, he finds hope. He sees beauty in his situation and he keeps going. Sisyphus teaches us a lesson. It is when we come face to face with something life-altering, with true hardship, with the bleakness many of us may be feeling right now, that we get to recognize the absurdity of life, and we get to choose life, and we get the chance to live rather than simply exist. So what does living truly mean? Now that we all have the chance, I'd argue the obligation, to go out and pave new paths for ourselves in the world. How can we assure that we are living to our fullest capacity? How do we live meaningfully? Camus argues that what makes life meaningful are other human beings. I agree. So thank you all for giving me a wonderful group of human beings to make my life meaningful for the past 13 years. This question about how to be meaningful is a question I've also been asking myself the past few weeks as I have stared into my future and questioned my ability to make an impact on the world. But we must realize that meaningfulness does not come from a degree, a salary, or the societal judgment of our worth. I think Wordsworth put it best when he wrote that the best parts of a person's life are made up of the little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. A meaningful life arises from the small things that we do for the people that we love, the tiny acts of self-love that we engage in when we read our favorite book for the 43rd time or dance it out in our rooms. The beauty in life that we now have the chance to appreciate does not depend on national acclaim or life-changing experiences. Though trust me, the Lewisburg class of 2020 will certainly have plenty of those. The tiny, almost imperceptible if you're not focusing enough, true meaning of life is much harder to notice. To detect it requires attributes that the world may be lacking in right now. Kindness, curiosity, and the ability and willingness to think for oneself. Luckily for me, and for all of you, I think we have done a wonderful job teaching ourselves how to be kind, how to be curious, and how to locate goodness in the world. To my classmates, I leave you with this. The events of this spring have assured that the world is an open book full of possibilities for our futures. We are the generation that will get to shape scientific, political, and creative fields like no generation before us. The unknown can be terrifying, but now is our time to race into it and create a world that we can be proud of. And while our accomplishments will undoubtedly be remarkable, please don't be scared to embrace the day-to-day joy of life. And I realize that I have tried to share the importance of finding beauty in the work itself, but know that you are still allowed to bask in your successes. When you push your boulder up to the top of the hill, pause your work for a second and enjoy the view from the peak. The beauty of the landscape below is a reflection of your hard work, and you have earned it. Thank you.
Next, we have our first of our two co-salutatorians. Please welcome Mr. David Hahn.
Good evening, friends, faculty, and families, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2020. We gather here today to celebrate the end of our high school experience. For 12 years, we dedicated 7 hours each weekday to bettering our understanding of the world from inside the classroom. But we did more than just sit through class. We accomplished incredible feats of intellect, strength, and willpower during these 4 years of high school, whether that be through academics, athletics, or personal endeavors. At this time, I want to give credit where credit is due, to the many influential people in our lives. Thank you, teachers, for putting up with our class for 4 years and teaching us not just about the content of your classes, but life too. Thank you, parents, for supporting us throughout our development into productive members of society. I would especially like to thank all of the school's faculty for their excellent response to the current pandemic. As students, we don't normally see the work done behind the scenes of running a school, but these past few months have shown how lucky we are to have such dedicated staff. Finally, a special mention for the orchestra, which for the first time in history will not be playing Pomp and Circumstance for the duration of the ceremony. I know that everyone in the orchestra is absolutely devastated to hear this. Our time in high school has officially come to an end, even if it felt like that already happened 2 months ago. From here, many of us will continue our education in college, others will go to the armed forces, and some will enter the workforce. But regardless of which direction you go, I hope you have exactly that, direction. A clear goal in mind that you want to accomplish, something that drives you to continue working through the difficult times that may come about in your life. In elementary school, I wanted to become a doctor. In middle school, I wanted to become a state chess champion. In high school, I wanted to go to college. As of late, all all I want is to actually do something productive with my time. Now I know what you're thinking. Yes, my expectations of myself do seem to be getting lower and lower. But I've only just noticed, and I'm working on expecting more, which leads to my second point. Our directions can change, and in fact, they probably will change a lot. So don't be afraid to expect a lot from yourself. We are all incredibly capable people at a point in our lives where anything is possible. At approximately our age, Alexander the Great conquered 18 countries, Joan of Arc saved France, Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, and Harry Potter defeated Voldemort for the second time. So yeah, there's a lot of untapped potential here. Don't become complacent, and always strive for something better. Take advantage of every opportunity that arises, and don't back down from competition if it coincides with your goals. A lot of people think hard work and success go hand in hand, which has been pretty much true in high school. High school was great because grades were an easy way to track how much relative work I was doing in terms of everyone else. Frankly speaking, getting good grades was not a matter of how brilliant you were, but rather a measurement of how hard you worked and how much time you devoted to get good grades. Some brilliant people had below average grades, and some average people had great grades. Unfortunately, there isn't a grading system for your life in the real world yet, so you won't always see what your hard work is doing for you like in high school. In fact, some people may work just a fraction of what you do and still get the same results. I believe this is called having street smarts, which is a shame because all I have are book smarts. Based on this evidence, maybe there isn't a wrong way to work hard, but there are certainly better ways. Just like how there are better ways to make money other than having a job. Investment, for example. So be mindful of where you put your hard-earned taxpayer hours, and don't work without thinking about how that work will get you closer to your goals. Compared to other high schools across America, Lewisburg is a small school. What this means is that we all basically know each other's personalities, hobbies, and interests. You've got the gamers, the athletes, the politicians, the science nerds, the artists, the musicians, the meme lords, everything in between, and lots of others that I haven't seen. The point is that each of us is unique, fitting into different categories more than others. Moving forward, these categories will become larger, more numerous, and more distinct. Sure, no one else in our class plays chess, tennis, and violin like me. But there are 93,000 registered chess players, 18 million tennis players, and an estimated 250,000 violinists in the United States. It'll become harder to see what differentiates yourself from the crowd, so give yourself a competitive advantage. Actively seek to improve yourself through knowledge, experiences, and opportunities. Learn all that you can about this world so that you may share your expertise with the rest of it. Even if someone far outshines you in almost every way, just remember that it is your responsibility to market your own competitive advantage. Maybe I can smoke you in a chess game blindfolded, but I sure can't run faster, cook better, or write as well as some of you. Play to those strengths and refine them into invaluable skills that people value highly. I want to leave you with something to think about. The world we are entering as adults is filled with problems. Natural disasters, climate change, political divisions, cultural clashes, and misinformation are just some of the issues that will come to the forefront of our lives. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the solutions. How will our generation solve the greatest problems of the modern era? What kinds of technologies will be developed to combat the forces of evil? What brilliant ideas will we come up with to ensure our success? These are questions that I expect to be answered by you, class of 2020. I think I'll have to wait a bit before you do. So in the meantime, have big dreams, work intelligently, and be an individualist. Thank you.
Our next co-salutatorian is Christopher Rawson.
Hi everyone. I would like to thank all of those tuning into this year's graduation as we honor the class of 2020 for over a decade of hard work. Unfortunately, I can't be delivering my speech to you in person, but I am very thankful that efforts to flatten the virus curve in Pennsylvania have allowed me to give my address while in this building. Sometimes, things in life are unexpected. We'll plan celebrations that are unceremoniously canceled. We won't get the job we want. We'll lose loved ones. One thing we have in common is that we have, in some form or another, been affected by recent and unprecedented global health scares. But I'm not here to talk to you about what could have been. Instead, I would like to draw attention to the fact that graduating from high school is so much more than just finishing senior year. Upon entering kindergarten, we learn the value of being part of a community that is dedicated to education, learning, and kindness. We're given a foundation to use throughout school in order to better ourselves and those around us. In middle school, we learn the importance of friendship and healthy relationships. Maybe we experience our first school dance, our first powerful and challenging book series, or even the rush of being part of a sports team for the first time. We begin to forge meaningful and significant memories, and we're exposed to stronger feelings as a result. When we finally do enter high school, we probably feel scared. Maybe we're afraid of what it means to be accountable, or just simply the daunting workload. We might develop specific interests, whether it be the applicability of calculus to the real world, writing short stories, playing soccer, learning a trade, or even just being around people. Because we have more choices than we've had in the past, it can definitely be harder to make decisions, let alone good ones. But high school, and school in general, is more about finding ourselves than it is doing everything exactly the way we think it's supposed to be done. That's why I think it's important to remember that graduation, especially this year's variation, is about how far we've come as students and as individuals rather than a potentially exciting year that ended up being truncated. Although the end of the school year was anything but normal, life after high school isn't supposed to be cookie cutter, and it's not meant to be easy. I've been a part of our school's cross-country program for 5 years, and if there's one thing I've learned from the sport, it's that you just don't give up. No matter how tough things get, the satisfaction gained from cresting a hill and knowing that you did everything you possibly could to succeed is far more powerful than the pain you may be feeling. We just finished the biggest race of our lives so far, and we're moments away from embarking on an even bigger one. So while things may feel abnormal, sad, or even subdued, we have to keep our end goal in mind amidst all that's transpiring. The maxim "life is too short" may seem cliche and overused, but it definitely feels more real when you leave school in the middle of March, not knowing that you won't be back again. We're all going forward at a time when there are a lot of uncertainties, which is why it's important to remember the constants in our lives. Instead of focusing on what's been lost or stripped away, we should always live in the moment, because things like this do happen, albeit on very different scales. This class is full of bright, ambitious, and talented people, and I know that all of us are fully capable of overcoming obstacles that can and will stand in our way. I would like to thank the faculty and staff at all levels in our school district for the time and effort that you are constantly supplying to create a supportive learning environment for all of our students. Every single one of you has something extremely valuable to offer our district, and we all reap the benefits of your hard work. The high school and the entire Lewisburg area school district would not be the same without you, and we appreciate everything you've done to support us. To Ms. Reber and Mr. Wetzel, thank you so much for spending countless hours coming up with alternate end-of-the-year plans for all of our high school students. Your dedication is truly inspirational, and it's heartwarming to know that you spent 8 hours hand-delivering caps and gowns to this year's graduates. None of this would have been possible without you. And finally, to my fellow classmates and graduates, we made it. 13 years have flown by, and we're finally ready to take the next step. We'll experience success, and we'll taste failure too, but the experience itself is oftentimes more valuable than the end result. Much like the way in which our final year here ended, not everything in life will go as planned, and it's not going to get any easier from here. Learning to adapt is the best way, and in some cases the only way, to keep ourselves moving forward when it seems like we're bound to be held back. I want to leave you with this. Yes, in a perfect world, our senior year would have looked very different. Yes, there are things many of us missed out on as a result of what happened. And yes, I am talking to a camera right now and not an in-person audience. But no, our class will not be defined by the things we didn't get to do. Instead, we'll be remembered for how we pick ourselves up and respond. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Gabe Chablowski, class president.
Hello there. I don't know whether I should say good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, because any one of you could be listening to this at any moment in time. But currently, in this moment, the only things listening to me are my living room couch, I don't know how, and the duck Gary sitting outside. He's very enthused. This speech was difficult for me to write, not because I'm sentimental or I feel some divine connection to Lewisburg, but because I think graduation is weird. Look at me. I am standing in my living room in an ugly green shower curtain and a hat that could be substituted for a tabletop. But regardless of that, this moment is important for all of us. And I was allotted a 3 to 5 minute window to speak, which was probably not a good thing. My speech will not be filled with some long, heartfelt anecdote about all the beautiful friendships I had that blossomed like morning glories in spring, and I will most certainly not throw my speech halfway through, shed one single tear across my cheek and say, I didn't even write this part. So, I will use this chance to speak to the very few people listening, even though I know it is most likely my mother. All I have to offer is my thoughts, and all I ask is for you to listen. I've lived my entire life as an outsider. I always had a difficult time connecting to other people. I never really liked school. I just used it as a means to learn things. I struggled with the camaraderie and friendship of it all. I just did not understand it. This has led me to have a somewhat interesting perspective, and I would like to share it with you and ask that you think. Intelligence. Intelligence, I think, is one of the most misconstrued ideas in the entire world. I would like for you all to try to think about what intelligence truly means. So many people chase it and give up because they fear that it is unattainable. So many people think they have it and hold it above other people. I also learned that seldom do people live for themselves, but are rather living for others, which is not necessarily a bad thing, especially in a time like now. Helping other people is what makes our society progress. But trying hard in school to get straight A's out of fear that your friends will disrespect you is not a good way of living for others. Living for yourself is more important than any homework assignment or test will ever be. I challenge all of you to look at your actions and find the root of why you are doing them, and I guarantee you it will not be for you, it will be for someone else. We would all do better to stop living in fear of the people around us and start prospering in the areas that we love. Intelligence ties directly into living for yourself because you can never really be intelligent without learning about what you love. Just because someone took no AP classes does not make them any less intelligent. People only feel that way because of the fear that others have caused them. If you want to get straight A's and try as hard as you can, by all means, challenge yourself. Do it. Because that is an amazing accomplishment that you have, and you should be proud of yourself. But if you are doing it in some misguided attempt to feel superior or feel more secure in your social life, then you are one of the most unintelligent people on earth. Not doing well in school but excelling in other areas of study makes you an incredibly talented and intelligent person, because you are not ignorant to the idea of learning even if you aren't getting good grades, because you are striving to learn in other ways. I think the most amazing people are the ones who live true to themselves, the people who go out on the weekend or get in trouble because at least they're learning something. Intelligence has nothing to do with competition for class rank or what school or what college you get into, or if you're going to college at all. What truly marks intelligence is your desire and passion to learn. There are people who have amazing grades but are not intelligent because they have no desire to learn and spend their entire lives trying to please others. And they may be doing well in school, but they have no passion. And what does a life even mean if you're not living it with passion? There are also people who settle for a career that is not what they want because they've been made feel like they are not smart enough. We need to change education in a way that doesn't demand respect and intelligence from its students, but rather nurtures a student's desire to learn. If you want to be intelligent, all you have to do is learn. Ignorance is the only thing that keeps you from being intelligent. Whether it's quantum physics or carpentry, all that matters is your passion to learn. When we all stop looking down on people and stop living in fear of what our friends and family think, we will start living for ourselves, and we will become the most intelligent and authentic versions of ourselves.
At this time, I'm honored to introduce former Superintendent Dr. Mark Duraco, who has some special comments for the class of 2020.
Greetings to the Green Dragon family and congratulations to the class of 2020. I join many others in celebrating your success today and all that you have accomplished as students at Lewisburg. Although today's ceremony is different than we would have liked for you, it does not diminish our pride and well wishes for you. Now, it's been a while since I've been your superintendent and walked the halls of the schools and attended your events. And there is so much I miss about Lewisburg and the wonderful people and the great students I worked with over the years. My last memory of the class of 2020 was greeting you at the door of the brand new high school when it opened on December 5th, 2016. There was a great sense of excitement that day as you entered the building, and I'm sure you have that same level of excitement as you graduate today. I will forever be connected to the class of 2020, as your class was the focal point for over a decade's worth of planning and improvements and hard work in order to reform and improve our school district. Your class was entering kindergarten when we embarked on a 13-year strategic plan called Vision 2020. Our priority was to fundamentally change our educational programs and facilities to make sure we were meeting your educational needs by the time you graduated in 2020. It's hard to believe that that day has arrived. Building a new high school was really a small part of that plan. The significant part of the plan was to be sure we provided positive and meaningful learning experiences for you at every phase of your schooling career. We wanted you to develop lasting friendships with your fellow students and great relationships with your teachers and staff members. We wanted all of you to have a sense of belonging to the Lewisburg educational family and feel that Green Dragon pride. Most importantly, we wanted you to be successful and find a path that best suited your likes and desires. I hope today finds you on that path and ready to accomplish great things with your future. Whether you've been in Lewisburg for your entire K-12 school experience or joined the Green Dragon somewhere along the way, you will forever be part of something special in the Lewisburg area school district because you are the class of 2020. I want to thank you for being an inspiration to the Lewisburg School Board, administrators, faculty, and staff over the past 13 years. Now, I am so sorry that the pandemic has caused so much upheaval at the end of your senior year and caused cancellation of many of your year-end events that you've looked forward to for so long. I am truly heartbroken for you. And although we could not foresee the coronavirus that took so much away from you over the past few months, I hope that you have been able to be resilient and find ways to cope with the situation. And most importantly, I hope you've been able to help others cope with the situation as well. One of the most important things that I've learned in my life is not to dwell on the things that we don't have or the things that could have been, but to really reflect on the things that we do have. The virus will never be able to take away the friendships and relationships that you have developed or the cherished memories that you have made during your school experience. So even though you can't be together today with your classmates, take comfort in knowing that you are valued and loved by your family, friends, school staff, and the greater Lewisburg community. Now, just as you helped Lewisburg enter a new phase of educational programming, I'm confident that you will help society improve and prosper with the many contributions that you will make in your chosen vocation. As you now go your separate ways and take on the challenges ahead, I will remind you that focusing on the positive will always serve you better than focusing on the negative. As Abraham Lincoln once said, we can complain that rose bushes have thorns, or we can rejoice that thorn bushes have roses. I encourage you to focus on the roses and look for the positive in all your endeavors. Successful people always look for ways to solve problems instead of complaining that problems exist. Problems such as the pandemic will always be with us. Society needs you to be part of the solution to these problems And I know that I and many others can count on Lewisburg graduates, such as the class of 2020, to be a driving force in the betterment of our world. It was such a great honor for me to share a few words with you today. I thank Ms. Reber for the opportunity to be a small part of your commencement. I truly wish you all the best that life has to offer. Good luck and Godspeed on your journey.
At this time, I would like to introduce Mrs. Kathy Moser, Assistant Superintendent.
Good afternoon, everyone. One of my most favorite duties in my role as Assistant Superintendent is to fulfill a task at our annual commencement celebration and present the class. It is a privilege and an honor, and one that I delight in doing, as it's an opportunity to congratulate you on your accomplishments, celebrate your collective achievements, share a sigh of relief, and offer my own wishes for you as you move forward in your lives. This time, while different in so many ways, is not any different in my sentiments. Graduation is always a special event. In fact, this time, graduation is even more significant for the class of 2020. You have been our class of destiny in our district from the time you began in kindergarten. Little did you know at that time, but you were our focus group. You began your formal learning, and we began some long-range planning for your education. We started with the premise of increasing student achievement and a guiding question: what should our schools and our schooling experiences be in order for our students to achieve and thrive? How could we assure the class of 2020 would receive the best education we could possibly provide? We went to work, developed goals and objectives, and put action plans into motion over 13 years. We hired the best teachers and staff and created the best programs and opportunities. We continue to work hard, to play hard, and we celebrate our students. We honor you in our daily work and service. We have worked these 13 years alongside of you and your families in our collective efforts to provide you with the teaching and learning services to meet your needs, challenge your thinking, incite your passions, grow your skills, and support your development and achievement. We take great pride in seeing you reach this important moment. You are the embodiment of our work and our dedication. We have taught you well, and you have taught us well. Thank you, class of 2020, and Godspeed to each of you. And now it is my pleasure and humble honor to present to our Board of School Directors and to you, Dr. Skauka, the graduating members of Lewisburg Area High School, class of 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Moser. Ms. Reber. By the authority confirmed upon me as Superintendent of Schools in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it is my pleasure to certify that the young men and women making up the Lewisburg Area High School class of 2020 have met all requirements for graduation from the Lewisburg Area School District and may now begin coming forward to receive their diplomas.
It is my pleasure to introduce you to the individual members of the class of 2020. Richard John Ream. Taylor Troxel. Thomas Henry A. Hughes. Jesse Dorsum. Alec Reed. Brian Matthew Anderson. Marcus Joseph Sagan. Trevor John West. Grant Douglas Lannert. Zedekiah Miller. Cameron Schreffler. Chloe Elise Kaufman. Hunter Grimes. Aaron K. Joseph. Blake Miller. Himai S. Gora. Austin Kister. Laura Michelle Hafner. Kara Marie O'Rourke. Hannah J. Stewart. Alicia Schiffer. Calvin Mabry. Logan Greek. Grace Caroline Rosevier. Logan G. Moore. Jamie Federaca. Peter George Lance. Kareem Shabahang. Lily McBride. Christopher J. Rawson. Brett E. Herman. Christopher A. Walter. Joseph Michael Beatty. Zachariah A. Cameron. Emma Ann Hokeman. Thomas Hetherington. Tiernan Joseph Straub. Alyssa A. Ayala. Abigail Rose Gilger. Rachel McVicker. Isabella Meckley. Eva Elizabeth Shepard. Eric Starr. Janelle Marie Callison. Gavin Sheriff. Hannah Toussaint Drexler. Hannah Grace Castellon. Isaac William Kraus. Kirsten Jane Kister. Caitlin Renee Hafner. Mario Christian Colon. Jason A. Baker, Jr. Matthias O'Kane. Rebecca Elizabeth Brown. Anton Permiashkin. Cole Everett Temple. Emily Cecilia Alico. Logan D. Plank. Gabriel Chabowski. Julio Melendez. Joshua Edwin Gose. Tyler Steenstra. Isabel Catherine Zaleski. Cleo Elizabeth Carter. Andrew Bosenior. Joshua Curtis Nichols. Kirsten R. Walter. Alyssa Marie Yagi. William Hughes Lothard V. David S. Hahn. Ariana E. S. Farrar. Clayton A. Schaefer. Brianna Winters. Mallory Eve Linder. Angel Matias Sepulveda. Joshua Abney. Taylor Vedas. Sierra Varath Clark. Graydon Anders Feldman. Jordan Elaine Landis. Gabrielle Lauren Markunis. Catherine Ann Martin. Nicholas Michael Shedletsky. Ethan Spalding. Colin Runyon. Nicholas Michael Daniloff. Brianna Miller. Tyler J. Noaker. Mark Christopher Chalman. Justin R. Hendricks. Brogan McClintock Person. James Michael Thompson. Abigail M. Solomon. Catherine Grace Leister. Kendra Lenig. Dominic R. Simone. Molly Stahl. Hannah Abouid. Shamari Truex. Cordell Dean. William David Gower, Jr. Riley Bremagen. Daniel Simmons Durfee. Nicole L. Lamprinos. Bryce Jones. Mara H. Scott. Aaron T. Geyer. Anna Elizabeth Batkowski. Sawyer James Fisher. Lucas Stenko. Olivia Grace Manor. Macy Lynn Brown. Alexa Lee Mast. Audrey Grace Harrer. Chloe Elizabeth Michaels. Wyeth Sullivan Martin. Colt Klein. Antonio Melendez. Isaiah Micah Isaacson. Jacob Chandler Brooks, in absentia. Isaiah Colazzo, in absentia. Alexandria Sienki, in absentia. Ruvim Adjugevich Shevchenko, in absentia. Benjamin Silaj, in absentia. Jackson James Erickson, in absentia. Michael Glowatsky, in absentia. Ruth Molina Oyola, in absentia. Layla Marie Washington, in absentia. Jamin Pauling, in absentia. Thomas Prince, in absentia. Megan Rarick, in absentia.
Class of 2020, with your diploma, you are now entitled to all privileges said credential may bring. If you're watching this from home, I hope that you have your caps on, because to signify that you have graduated, you may now move your tassels from the right side of your mortarboard to the left. For the past 2 years, I have used the opportunity of these closing remarks to ask graduates to make it better. As an introduction, I shared that unlike Nike, who tells us to just do it, the Timberland Company, a maker of outdoor footwear and apparel, lives by the mission, make it better. But just last week, as I was preparing for what school might look like next year, I read the following in a report from an American Enterprise Institute. It said, most importantly, the planning for reopening schools creates the opportunity to renew a shared commitment to improving outcomes for all students. We should not try to return to normal, but rather to strive for something better. Again, that idea that it is within us to make it better. Better than it was. Better than what was normal. I hear people wish for things to return to normal, and I'm reminded of the Canadian folk singer Bruce Cockburn and his song, "The Trouble with Normal Is It Always Gets Worse." We certainly don't want things to continue as they are right now, but this global crisis that has taken from you many of the experiences that many of you have been working for and looking forward to, and I am genuinely sorry for that, is an opportunity for us to be our best selves, to make things better. Not just for ourselves, but for those we know, those we haven't met yet, and those we may never meet. Because you can affect that kind of positive change. So let me once again ask, before doing something, before saying something, or before posting something, take a moment and ask yourself, by doing this, whatever this is, will it make it better? If the answer is no, then do something else. Something that contributes and not detracts. Something that lifts up and not tears down. Something that provides opportunity, not prevents it. Something to make it better. Right now, our community, our country, and our world needs you, all of us, graduates, family, and friends, to make it better. Thank you, congratulations, and good luck.
Every Friday at Lewisburg Area High School, we have played the alma mater. Today, though, will mark the first time you sing it as graduates of the Lewisburg Area High School, Class of 2020. Please rise and join our staff and alumni as we are accompanied by the Lewisburg Area High School Choir.
Congratulations to the class of 2020. As you embark on this new chapter of your lives, you will continue to make history. Stay safe, stay healthy. We love you.
To the seniors of Lewisburg High, you'll go far, you'll go far. We're lucky to have you in our life. You'll go far, you'll go far. For some of you, it's been since grade school. Just a peacock, nothing out of the ordinary here. For some of you, it's been since preschool. Kindergarten right here in the Burg. Many more have come from all over this world, but they're part of our family now. To the seniors of Lewisburg High, you'll go far, you'll go far. We're lucky to have you in our life. You'll go far, you'll go far. Come so far and been through so much, but together, not alone. As you head into this great big world, darn that peacock, Lewisburg will always be your home. To the seniors of Lewisburg High, you'll go far, you'll go far. We're lucky to have you in our life. You'll go far, you'll go far. You may be thinking, what about the prom? Or the sports season that fell through? Whatever you're thinking, we want you to know that your teachers are proud of you. To the seniors of Lewisburg High, you'll go far, you'll go far. We're lucky to have you in our life. You'll go far, you'll go far.